ones who set the barriers up in the first place. We wall ourselves out, we wall ourselves away from possibilities by our own choosing. And our goal is to look at finding ways to break the barriers down or to go around them. Now, today's example is really about that, by looking up and seeing the barriers and realizing the barriers that we're setting up are in our minds are much bigger than they actually are. Now, I have a buddy of mine, and he has this phrase which he just says to me over and over again. And, the first time I heard it, it was, pretty funny. The second time I might have laughed a little bit at it. But I've heard this now 9 or 10 different times. And just to kind of give you an example, let's just say I'm looking at a putt, and I'm looking at a putt, and it's about a 15-foot putt. And I'm thinking, man, I don't think I can make that putt. And he would look at me and said, hey, Bob, are you American or are you an Americant? Same way, maybe we're running late for a lunch, and man, I don't think we're going to get there in time in this traffic. Sure enough, he's going to say, Bob, are you American or are you Americant? Now, that is a little bit amusing, but it kind of puts the whole perspective there where I have put that barrier into place thinking, I don't know if I can do this. And my buddy reminds me, okay, yes, you know what, you actually can do it. Now go about and doing this. Now, when we talk about setting up barriers which are actually larger in our mind than they actually are, it reminds me of a story when I was a kid. Now, when I was a kid, there was a roller coaster park just about 10 miles away, and I would go to it. And man, I would love this roller coaster park because I would love roller coasters. I loved going downhill. Speed was great. Going around corners, kind of getting torqued one way or the other. It was fantastic. But there was one ride that just absolutely terrified me, and it was called the Corkscrew. And basically what it was like a normal roller coaster where, you were raised up to the top, and then boom, you had the big drop, and you did all sorts of twists and turns and all of that. But at the end, there were back-to-back corkscrews where you started and you went, and then you would go upside down or become inverted, then you would come down the other side. And there was 1, 2, 3, and right at the end of the ride, and I was terrified of going upside down. Now, they put this right in the middle of the park, and the corkscrew was always under the main walkway, so you could see these people going upside down. Now, the funny thing is, if you were there's a big net between the corkscrew itself and where you are, and it caught all sorts of things. It would catch hats, or phones, or wallets, keys, anything loose that might be on you. I kid you not, one time I saw an artificial leg hanging in that net right there. But I was terrified about that. And not only that, during this, when you're upside down in one of the spots, they would take your picture. And so they would take your picture, and these people weren't, oh wow, this is fun, or having faces of excitement or joy. It was just sheer terror. Their eyes were wide open. They were probably screaming. Their hair was all over the place. Well, at least those who had hair was all over the place. Their arms might have been up at a crazy angle. The people looked panicked. And I was looking at this thinking, there is no way that I want to go and ride on this thing because I don't want to get panicked as well. Now, all day, again, with the corkscrew right in the middle, you went right around it. And my friends were bugging me, Bob, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to go in the corkscrew. So finally, late in the day, we decided we're going to go and do it. So sure enough, we get in the cars, and they had one of these restraints that comes around right over you. And I was just hugging this like a life preserver, hugging it for dear life, thinking, man, this just could be the end of me. And sure enough, boom, we start going. We go up the big thing, the incline, and then bang, down, and we go jetting back and back and back and forth and forth and forth. And we finally get to the corkscrew around once, around twice, around the third time, and then it finally spit out. And you know what? I was okay. It was kind of exhilarating because what I realized was I was only upside down for, I don't know, maybe half a second. But I made it through alive. I was perfectly fine. Now, funny enough, you see the picture of that because my friends got the picture, and here I was just absolutely terrified on the photo. I, again, was grabbing the restraint like a life harness. I was just having my eyes closed. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, hoping that this thing would be done. And man, they just laughed at me. But the truth was, I made it out alive. I was okay. The big obstacle that I put up really wasn't that bad. And going on it once, I was okay. And sure enough, guess what? I wanted to ride it again. And every time I've gone back there, I've made sure to go and ride that roller coaster. So here is the drill. In our lives or in our businesses, we put up these barriers which we actually think are just monumental. And the truth is, they probably aren't that big. Maybe you're going to ask someone if you want to join their team, or you want to ask someone for the business, or you just want to go out and make a cold call and ask someone, hey, would you be interested in what I might have to sell? Now, the ask, we make it so big, but what's going to happen? You know, I've done this for 20 years. I've never heard anyone who's died from a no on the phone. So, but we're afraid to ask anyway. But here's the other thing about that. The more we ask, the more comfortable that we get. So I have no problem now going and asking for certain things because, hey, if it's a no big deal. I'll just move on to the next one. So that is my encouragement for you. So this is Bob Paskins with a 2-minute motivational drill encouraging you to engage in life, to let your light shine, and to be a champ. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.